If you haven't got a seat, would you like to find one? Well, welcome to St Christopher's. This is the first time I've been to a political debate. So I'm looking with interest as to what might happen. But welcome to St Christopher's. It's a church facility, well used by the local community. And we've been here for 65 years. So just a few houses back then, I think. But we do ask you to be respectful. It's a church environment. We'd like that you keep your language respectful, listen carefully. And we see our role in the community as vitally important. We are delighted to again host the local body election debate for this area. And we've got a few people that are outside the area, and we welcome you as well. And we live in a free land where democracy gives us a chance every 3 years to evaluate how those who were elected have done. To look at aspiring candidates as we weigh up whether to participate and change through the ballot box or maintain the status quo. And during the evening, I'm trusting we'll all listen carefully, be respectful in asking our questions when it's appropriate. And there's some housekeeping that you need to know about. The building is structurally strong. You'll see the steel beams. But if we should have to evacuate, there are exits to the left up front, just over there, to the right. There's an exit down by the sound desk. There's an exit by the bookcase down the back there. They all take you outside. And you can go out the door, but if everybody tries to go out the door, it'll be difficult. If you have mobility issues, please remain in your seat and our staff team will help you to exit the building. The toilet facilities, if you need the toilets, are out the door and to the left. Well, Mr. Mayor, councillors, all aspiring candidates and interested observers, we're now in the hands of Nicola.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa, ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and thank you all for being here. I am here on behalf of the Avonhead Community Group. My name is Nicola McCormick, and I will be the MC for the first part of today's meeting. We welcome our two main mayoral candidates, Sarah Templeton and Phil Major, and local candidates for the Community Board and ECAN. The main purpose of this public meeting is to introduce our local council and community board candidates, and of course listen to our two main mayoral candidates. Right, so we've already finished our health and safety for the evening, so that's great. So first of all, I would like to start with the key concerns of the community for this area. I believe we have a slide that you can see. All right. We've got chlorination, housing intensification. I don't need to read all of them, you can have a look yourself. And so these are the key issues that residents have been having a lot of discussions about. Fly tipping's one of them. Do you all know what fly tipping is? Good, good. It happens in our neighbourhood too. Right. I'm going to talk briefly to you tonight about the Avonhead Community Group, just briefly because we have a few speakers to get through, and I promise I won't talk for too long. The Avonhead Community Group represents over 8,000 households, formed in 2012 and incorporated in 2013. We're a neutral, non-political and fully voluntary residents organisation. Our goal is to protect the best interests of Avonhead and nearby suburbs by supporting sustainable development. We receive no external funding and rely solely on donations to cover costs, including public meetings. For those of you that don't know or are not aware, from 2012 to 2016, the Avonhead Community Group successfully opposed a proposal to rezone rural land near Hawthornden Road for industry. Such development would have severely impacted traffic, infrastructure, and local amenities. With support from the council, our local MP, ECAN, and Christchurch Airport, and the local councillor, we won, and the area remains rural. This shows why it's vital for local representatives to listen to the residents and explain how they will protect local interests. We want genuine discussion, not party line politics. This now brings us to the second part of our meeting, where we can meet the candidates running for election. I will now hand you over to Dwayne, who will take over the MC duty for the remainder of the night. Thanks, Dwayne.
Kia ora. Good evening. And before we meet the candidates, I'd like to invite our unopposed councillor, Sam McDonald, to say a few words to us this evening. Sam?
Hey, well, good evening, everyone, and apologies if I don't sound very good. I've had a cold for the last few days, and you know it's bad when I can't get along to the opening of the Burnside Bowling Club season, and I couldn't get there over the weekend, so but I'm on the up now. Look, can I just start by firstly thanking the Avonhead Community Group and St Christopher's Church for having us tonight. These are a regular feature in our cycle of events, not only in election year, but actually Phil and I have had the last couple of years here going through the budget every year as well, because we think it's so important that people have a say and we can hear from you and let us know what you think. I think if we look at the way things have played out over the last couple of years, I think it's been one of those times where it's been actually really difficult for the city. We've had a lot of turbulence in those initial years which we had to steady the ship and get things working. But as we come through that, I'm really excited about what the future of Christchurch looks like. Just a couple of things I think at a sort of a macro level that we're sort of thinking about, and I'm sure Phil will talk about these later on, is we've managed to finally settle the insurance claim over the wastewater treatment plant. So you'll all remember the fire that took place out in the east quite some time ago. We've managed to land that, and not only that, but we've been able to push forward for future a system which halves our emissions in terms of what our city produces or our council produces, but actually allows for long-term growth. And it might not sound that exciting, but actually for a bit of an infrastructure sort of wonk like me, that's the kind of stuff that makes the city future-proof going forward, and I'm really proud of the work the team have done on that. You'll obviously know that the stadium's coming on full force, so that's ready to be opened on April the 25th or April the 26th next year, which is really good, and Metro Sports is coming on. So all the bits of the jigsaw are coming together, and now we need to look at what we do for the next 10 years as a city. And if you think about it, I think we actually need a break. And I know that sounds really controversial, but I don't know about you, but I get sick of every road I drive down having work done on it, having road cones out, and actually if you live in this area, you'll know how annoyed we get with Maidstone and Craik being blocked for the next wee while. That work is vital to be done, but actually we need, I think, some time to just focus on fixing our roads and our footpaths as a community and say, actually, let's cater for the growth, but let's not do everything all at once and protect the assets we've got. So look, I'm really looking forward to what that might look like. I think we've had some really good wins, and I promised Murray down the back that I'd mention it. We managed to stop the Harewood Road Cycleway from being built, and there'll be differing views on that, but actually the local community did not want that built, and I want to acknowledge Aaron Keown for his work in leading that charge. We did not as a council initially listen to that community. We have now, and it's been stopped, and I think that's a good thing for us. If you look at some of the local stuff, we've had the right turning arrows come on just in the last couple of weeks. Graham's Road, Ilam Road and Greers Road. And I have to apologise on behalf of the Mayor and myself, because there was one afternoon where we were both, he was driving down Graham's Road, I was driving down Greers Road, and as we do from time to time, we'll be sitting on hands-free talking, don't worry, we're not using our phones in the car, talking about the challenges of the day. And we were both off to the same meeting. And we realise after about 15 minutes that we're still stuck in traffic moving down this road. And it's funny, you know, the mayor is only one vote around the table, but I have to say the following morning the Transport Department realised they had a problem when both him and I were whinging about not being able to move around our part of town, and the green lights magically appeared a week or two later. The challenge we had at Greers Road, though, was that the infrastructure there is not quite up to purpose, so it's had to be ripped out and done, but that's all being worked through, and I think they're going to be commissioned on Thursday. So that will get traffic flowing, you know, and I won't go on for too much longer, but we have to get traffic flowing around the city. I think we've put in too many speed bumps. I think some of them are appropriate, but I think we've put in too many that are making it unpleasant to drive around our city, and I worry about what that does to the psyche of people across Christchurch. The more we congest traffic and the more we make things more difficult for people, the more agitated they get with us, and that's us as a council. The really sort of positive thing, I think, is that as we've moved through the last couple of years, we've managed to lift the resident satisfaction across Christchurch. So we do a survey every year. It's very independent, very scientific, and it's seen the trust and confidence begin to increase. And I think that's because we've shared a lot of the problems we have as a council with you as a community. We've been a lot more open, a lot more transparent. Phil literally got rid of our private briefings. On a Tuesday now, you can log in and watch online any public discussion we have, and that makes better decisions. So, look, I think we're on the right path. The city's got a lot of momentum. It's a bit unusual for me because while I'm telling you what's happened, I actually weirdly don't need your vote this time. I must say, though, I was quite annoyed when I was unopposed because I love a good competition, and actually I think it's healthy for a contest of ideas, for someone else to you know, put their ideas up and see what the community want. But I've been told I need to take it as a sign of an endorsement from our community. But I guess I'll just continue to say, you know, I'm always approachable. Feel free to come and talk to me whenever you want. I'm really hoping that we get a council that can deliver what we've promised for the last couple of years and continue to build on that because the city really needs it. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. I'd like now to welcome the candidates standing for the Community Board. A gentle reminder to please be respectful while the candidate is speaking. Excuse me. I will sound a bell from up here, and we'll have questions taken after all the candidates have spoken. So I'd like to invite Pavitra Ravi to the stage.
A big thanks to ACG for inviting me tonight and giving this wonderful opportunity. Have you all seen a bumblebee? Do you know a bumblebee shouldn't fly as per traditional law of aerodynamics? Its body is apparently too heavy in proportion to its wingspan, but yet it does. Every time the bee takes a flight, it defies the odds. And so is my journey in this election campaign. My name might not be in this invite for tonight's meeting, but it is definitely there in your ballot papers. Pavitra Ravi, your truly independent candidate for Waimari Community Board. Waimari is where me and my husband, we raise our 3 little kids. Kids go to school in the area. I run and grow my small business right here as well, which means I understand the real-time problems we face every day as individuals, families, and businesses. I also understand the true potential of our neighborhood and how we can benefit if we put true apolitical representation in grassroots governance. So why am I putting my hand up for community board? Well, the problems that we just saw. We asked for chlorine-free water. We get 1 tap for more than 24,000 residents. We asked for free flow of traffic and wider roads. We have potholes on roads, and we get speed bumps where it is not really necessary. Fly tipping, the illegal dumping on the streets, is becoming a nuisance in the neighborhood. We use Snap Send Solve app for that, right? My last complaint took 6 whole weeks for a couch to be picked up from Yaldis Road. There's multiple problems, but I think all of it comes down to one big problem, and that's the community's voice is not being heard. Your voice and my voice is going unheard. I'm a mom and a teacher, and I find ways to get things done every day. And so I'm here to be that collective, strong voice for our neighborhood without any political agendas. So if elected, I will work for streets where families feel safe, support local businesses and grassroots community organizations, protect and maintain our basic infrastructure and green spaces which enhances our everyday life. Last 3 months, I walked around the ward, knocking hundreds of doors, talking to so many people. I've really enjoyed the conversations that we've had, but I've also learned a lot from it. So I will keep this conversation going with weekly community catch-ups and proactively creating communication channels with schools, community groups, sports groups, and residents to make sure no voice is going unheard. A disclaimer, I do not have any shades in front of me, red, blue, green, or yellow. I come with centered thinking and genuine passion, and I only believe not having a political affiliation enhances my capacity to work with anyone and everyone around the table. Waimari is home. So win or lose, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be staying here. You'll keep seeing my face, keep hearing my voice, advocating for our neighborhood. Before I finish, all I ask is for your trust and your vote, and I promise that I will work tirelessly to be worthy of both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Ben Spittle, our other candidates.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Firstly, I'd just like to start out by congratulating Sam on his re-election as the councillor for Waimari. Sam has done an excellent job advocating for our ward, and I know he's excited to continue his work. I'd also like to thank the Avonhead Community Group for hosting us tonight, and also acknowledge Nicola for the excellent work she's done on the community board over the last 3 years. As said, my name is Ben Spittle and I'm standing for the Waimari ward of the Fenelon Harewood Waimari Community Board. I live in Avonhead. I have most of my life. My wife and I both work locally and our children attend the nearby school. Like many of you, I care deeply about this community, but it's not just where we live, it's where we call home. As a first-time candidate, I'm standing because I believe residents deserve to be listened to properly. Too often, we see council making decisions that don't reflect the feedback that was asked for. Like many of you, I've sat back and shaken my head wondering how they got it so wrong. It's frustrating and it erodes trust. That needs to change. If elected, I'll work hard to make that change. I bring a grounded, practical attitude and a willingness to listen and a commitment to follow through. This election matters. It matters a lot more than most. The next 3 years will shape our neighbourhood for the next 30 years. Medium density housing rules, transport infrastructure, and how our rates are spent, these are the big issues that will directly affect our everyday life. As these decisions have such a significant effect on our ward, we need to get it right. I love this area and I don't want to see it change beyond recognition. I want to see growth done well in a way that respects the character of our area and doesn't undermine it. We've been fortunate in Waimari to avoid some of the more disruptive rollouts like excessive cycleways and speed humps. But we're starting to see signs of those creeping in. These changes should not be made without strong local support. Decisions like these must be made with the community, not to the community. That's the kind of representation that I believe in. Community boards are your local voice. They're the closest to the ground and can make sure your concerns don't get lost in the system. So I encourage you to look at your whole representation, from mayor, councillor and community board, and vote for those who reflect your values and will work hard to protect what makes our neighbourhood special. And I can promise you that I will be working for those values. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And now I would invite Nicola to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicola McCormick and I am standing for re-election to the Waimari Community Board. I love this area. It's my home, and I've seen it grow and change over the years. I bring a long-term local perspective, having lived here for, I think, over 25 years. I've got married here, and I'm currently raising my family here. I often get asked, so what does it mean being a community board member? And for me, at its heart, a community board member is about listening to the people, taking their views to the table, and making sure that everyone's voices are heard. As a long-term local, and it is pretty long, I did go to Burnside High School, I know the issues firsthand. Ours is a diverse community. Russley, Avonhead, Burnside, and pockets of Brindwa. And the needs do vary over the area. But at the end of the day, it's the people that make this place a great place to live. Over the past term, I've worked really hard to be an open, accessible, and proactive advocate. I've been part of initiatives like the Avonhead Russley Community Directive and the Burnside Community Directive, and I'm really proud of that. But what I've loved most is connecting with grassroots community groups to ensure positive outcomes for everyone in the area. Looking ahead to the next few terms, I would like to see more people engaged in decision making, actually having a say, giving feedback, because quite often people don't. I really want to protect the wonderful facilities in our area, our parks and our green spaces, and also support projects that make our neighbourhoods safer and people feel and make sure that people feel more connected. I am here for the people, no matter your background or your beliefs. I want to represent you and make sure that your voice is heard. And I want to make sure that your voice is part of the decisions shaping our wonderful community. And I will continue to show up in person at every board meeting. Thank you.
And thank you to all the candidates. Thank you, Nicola. Thanks to all your candidates for making yourselves available for us to meet you. Thank you very much. Now we move on to welcome the Fendalton Council candidates, and I'd like to invite all of you to give a brief description or a brief introduction of yourselves, and would like to introduce Xavier Dickerson.
All right, so to answer the question on everyone's mind, yes, I am old enough to be running for council. It is the question I've faced the most whenever I've been door knocking, but youth does not mean an experience. Youth simply means a different perspective, one that's focused on the future of our city. I want to see a Christchurch where we're not planning and putting out fires right now. We're not just focused on these next 3 years, and we're focused on actually building a council that's looking 30 years ahead. I want to see investment into our renewal programs to make sure that our footpaths are safe and walkable for our whole community so that people can access public transport when they need to, so that our water is safe, is drinkable, and our ageing sewer systems are actually replaced. I want to ensure that our strategic assets remain ours, and I want to make sure that the community is consulted at every turn here, because the one thing I've found from door knocking again is that we lack trust. People don't feel listened to by the council, and that there's a separation between people in their houses and the people in the council building. And so we need to reduce that separation. We need to contact our community groups. We need to build a lot more connection between normal people, between everyone here, and people who are also normal but happen to be a councillor. We need to have a lot more conversations, and we need to be a lot more willing to go out as councillors and do the work and actually listen. And that's what I've been doing this whole campaign. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Xavier. Next, I'd like to introduce David Cartwright.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. First of all, a shout out to Prof for organising tonight and the wider team. To do this as a volunteer group, it's a fantastic effort, and the feedback we always hear, what residents tell me, what locals tell me, is that you are definitely a staunch part of the community in what you do for everybody here. Including earlier, I heard about your youth groups that come here, your after-school groups, your age groups that come during the week. Fantastic for the church to provide that venue. Who am I? David Cartwright. So I am a member of the current Fenelton Waimari Community Board. Have been there for 5 terms. So that goes back a few years. In fact, actually, I remember coming to a meeting here in 2019, I think it was, and speaking to the group here. Who else am I? I'm a company director, so I own a catering company here in Christchurch. I used to have the contract at Mona Vale Homestead. So many of you know that, a key, iconic hospitality venue in our city, employing locals. So I have that. I also have interests in other, the restaurant tram within the city as well. As well as that, I have a full-time job working for Ryman Healthcare. I look after many of our aged in our community, so from that perspective, the Charles Upland Village in Rangiora, we look after about 600 residents, about roughly the third largest retirement village in the Ryman network in New Zealand. Also a former trustee for the New Zealand Flying Doctors. So my community work is not only wide but deep in looking after the community. I see Alex Davies here tonight for ECAN. Alex and I, once upon a time, were on the Keep New Zealand National Board. So my connection into the community and into the environment also has a strong history. I also work as a Justice of the Peace. So many of you that might be familiar and wanting to have a statutory document done or a signing of a document witnessed, I'm available for that. Years of experience. So not only having 15 years on the community board where I've served as chair and deputy chair, but also as the community board member working for the community. I've lived in the city. Christchurch has been my home. I own a house here. I'm a ratepayer. So I know that the issues around increasing rates, and it is my pledge that we keep these under control. I have my children that have been to school here. In fact, actually, I think Xavier here works at St Andrews. My son, I think, was in your class at Medbury at school here. I've work alongside James Goff and Bridget Williams. So they unfortunately give their apology for not being here tonight. But as a Fenelton team, high performing team, I'd ask you for your vote. I've left at the back of the room some information in case you want to take it home. Also, what I can tell you about me, and from what I hear from residents in our community, is some of the issues that you talk about here: speed bumps, traffic flow. Christchurch is on the move. All of you will have seen in the newspaper about Noah's Hotel being redone. As a teenager, I washed dishes in that hotel. It is fantastic to see it coming back online. That will employ jobs, that will have people, overseas dollars coming into the city, which we desperately need. Wasteful spending is also a bone of contention with me. As a former committee member on the Institute of Directors here in Christchurch, or here in Canterbury, I have the skills, the governance expertise, and to be able to deliver on financial and support Sam and the great work that he does. Talking about Sam, Sam is a member of the independent ICITS, or independent citizens, so am I. I've been not only endorsed, but also selected by that group to stand in the Fenelton ward. I'll leave it at that. That's a great thing. I'm going to stay around after the evening if you want to come and have a chat to me. Many of you here won't be from Fenelton, but tell your friends, tell your families, tell your people. The important thing today is about voting. We have our democracy deserves your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just now to take an opportunity to welcome again from our fellow community boards is I'd like to welcome the Hereward Council candidates for a quick introduction. So first one we're going to welcome up here is the same benefit and positive luck that he has earned to be elected unopposed is Aaron Keown.
Yeah, that's great, and thank you for the invite this evening. It's pretty much the only debate I get to go to this year because no one stood in the ward, which is a very odd feeling, like Sam said. It's one of those things that I wasn't sure if... Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if what it quite meant. I've never had that before, and it's a little uneasy for the first few days when you realise no one in your ward actually dislikes you enough to stand just to at least make you work for your job. I have been a councillor for a while. To be honest, so I've worked with Bob Parker and Leanne Dalzell, both former mayors of Christchurch, and then the last term with Phil Major. Have enjoyed working with Phil. Has it been the greatest term? It's been better than most terms, but the greatest term Christchurch hasn't had yet, I don't think. This is, I believe Christchurch is the greatest little city in the world. And I'll actually ask the room, does anyone here not actually believe this is the greatest little city in the world? Okay, because I've got a real estate agent up north would be more than happy to give you a card if you were thinking it's not. It is truly the greatest place, and but I want to make it greater, and that's why I've hung around for another term. And we've been working on some various things that, you know, obviously the stadium's going to open soon and Parakiori and things, but the other things you do once a week, once a month, once a year, your big ticket items. As the day-to-day stuff, I think we can get a lot better, and you've heard mentioned forward thinking, you know, what's 20, 30 years into the future look like. I even think beyond that, you know, even 50 or more years. A couple of the things that we need to get right, I believe, is transport. Continuing to try and choke transport to make people choose other ways of getting around is not good for the environment, it's not good for the economy, and it's not socially good for people's minds. What we need to do is get traffic moving as best we can. We not run with 100-year-old transport solutions like buses and things. What does the future of public transport look like? The future of public transport's already been invented in Christchurch, and in the coming term, I look forward to backing that. It's a system that will probably... I've been working on it for a wee while with Phil. Don't worry, neither of us invented it. We're not quite that clever. We wouldn't be here if we were. We'd be out inventing things. But we'll make it public in the coming weeks because when people talk about flying cars, it is literally flying cars at 1/10 of the cost of buses. And if that doesn't spin your wheels, you haven't got a pulse. It will be an incredible thing for our city. It will make our city a world leader in what the future of transport looks like and moving people around. And other city leaders, mark my words, will come to Christchurch to look at how we solve those problems. And the other one I'll mention is another one some people might have seen in the media a few years ago. Phil bought a hydrogen car and then couldn't buy hydrogen, which was pretty funny for a week until the tank got real low. And the press ran a story saying, oh, look, the mayor bought a car and it doesn't work because he's out of hydrogen. His company in Hornby ring up and go, oh, we actually make hydrogen in Hornby. And so he goes out there and sees them, and then we, of course, you can get hydrogen here, and they're actually building plants for doing hydrogen conversions. They literally made a plug-in plant out in Hornby that makes hydrogen straight off the grid. It is phenomenal. Richardson Group down south have picked it up, and they're powering trucks on it because you can run a truck on around the energy usage of $1 a litre for diesel, except it's hydrogen, so it is zero polluting, and that's the sort of future that we need to be doing as a city and leading the world in solutions for the global population. And that company, Fabrum, because of that mistake of, well, it's not a mistake, it was, he knew what he was doing, of buying a hydrogen, sorry Phil, knock you around, you're here, but the buying a hydrogen car led to conversations that now our airport's involved with Frankfurt Airport in developing hydrogen flight, because if you know much about battery power, it doesn't work in aeroplanes. the weight of the batteries, it is a complete farce. Whereas hydrogen, incredible amount of energy comes out of it, and that is our future. And I want to be part of a future-focused city that leads the world in changing the way that people can live, but facilitates the way people want to live, not dictates to them how we want you to live, and also save your money along the way. So I'll leave it at that, because I don't actually have to win a vote in the room, unless someone's thinking of standing in 3 years' time against me in Harewood because they go, oh, that guy's an idiot, where are our flying cars? If you have the right council around the table in a month's time, you will see flying cars within 3 years. If you don't see them, I'm happy to stand down.
Excellent, as long as they weren't e-scooters. So, also now it's the chance for us to meet the Harewood Community Board candidates. So I'd like to invite Lucy Kewen up. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Lucy Kewen and I am standing for the Harewood Community Board this year. Thank you everyone for having me tonight. I'm going to be totally honest, I didn't realise I was coming until about an hour ago, so I haven't prepared as much of a speech as everyone else has. But a lot of you here won't be Harewood voters, you will be Waimarie voters, but a handful of you might be Harewood voters. And if you know Harewood voters, tell your friends. But Harewood borders Waimarie, so it is really important that we work together to get things done. When I've been out talking to the locals, whether that's delivering flyers or meeting people organically, the biggest thing that I've found out is that people want the basics done well, and that is what I want to achieve if I get elected in. Please, if you have any questions, come up and talk to me anytime. I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much. Now we'd like to welcome up Jason Middlemiss. He's not here? Okay, there we go. Well, we also have Mark Peters here from the Hornby Council. Yes, brilliant. If you'd like to come up and have a quick chat.
Thank you. And thank you very much to the team here for inviting me tonight. It's a pleasure to come across the border and share some vision of, we're all in this together. And I've really enjoyed being on council for 3 years. It's been a great ride. We've had some good leadership through the time, and I'm looking forward to having the privilege of carrying on for another 3 years. I'm very much like Sam and Aaron in that rarefied air of being unopposed and re-elected. So I feel that's a real privilege. And I take it as a endorsement that I've been doing a great job. So no one felt like they needed to stand up against me, and I'm really keen to carry on and do more. One of the things that I really believe in is working with the community. My background was in community activism. I stood up for my community across in Hornby and got our fantastic new Maratiki Hornby Centre that we opened just last year in the right place. Instead of on our premium park, we put it where it needed to be by our high school. And it's been a fantastic facility that's been making my community over there smile. And I even was talking to some locals here tonight, and they were saying that they come across the border and use that facility. So it's getting good use, and it's being well loved, and taking a community on a journey and having what they need where they need it, I believe is what it's really all about. We've got to hear the voices. We can't just ask what people think and then ignore them. We've actually got to listen and then adjust accordingly to make sure that we get the right answer in the right place. So I really enjoy working with community. I don't like seeing things done to the community. I like to have the community on the journey. And one of the classic things this 3 years that we've done is we're about to start building a replacement for the organics processing plant that's been giving Bromley such grief out there in the east. We're moving that into the Hornby area. We've got heavy industrial land out there, and in doing that, we took the community on the journey. We didn't just say, right, we're going to put the plant there and get used to it, locals. We actually engaged the residents associations that were surrounding that area and took them on a journey. We took them through to see what this company Ecogas do up north, and we managed to get those residents associations, along with myself and other councillors, comfortable with the idea that this company is actually doing a great job. This should work well in where it's going, and we've worked well with ECAN and got some good conditions on that facility as it gets built and then opened. So we'll keep an eye on that all the way through, and I'm really proud to be the local councillor that's giving Bromley the hope. So my ethos is that as a city councillor, we're there for the city. It's not just for our own patch. So yes, we do bring our own interests to the table and make sure they're heard, but we are there to make decisions for everybody. And we're there as a team. And I think we've had a pretty good team this triennium, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who gets put around the table in a week's time or a month's time, and then we can move forward and get another great 3 years, because Christchurch is going great at the moment. We've got some really good things about to open at the end of this year and into next, and I want to see Christchurch carry on thriving and being all that it can be, because we are the best city in New Zealand. Everyone's moving here, so let's keep it up.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you again. Another key part of our election is the ability to meet our ECAN council candidates, and this is an opportunity for us to meet them. So I'd like to welcome up Dion Swiggs. Thank you very much. So is Michael Bennett here? Alexandra Davids. Excellent.
Kia ora koutou, I'm Alexandra Davids and I am running for ECAN in the Central Ohoko Ward. I just want to say a massive thank you for having us here this evening. We really appreciate the opportunity to actually come in and have a chat with the locals, so thank you so much. So I am running for ECAN this term because I actually really miss local government, and I miss being able to make positive change within that sphere. I have spent the last 12 years in governance. 9 of those years I was with council, and I was on the community board, and I chaired the Linwood Central Heathcote Community Board towards the end of my 9 years. I have, as David alluded to, I've chaired the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Board. I have chaired I'm the current chair of Keep Christchurch Beautiful. Mark sits on that, Lucy sits on that, and we've had many other councillors, and both of our mayoral candidates have supported that really well too, so thank you everyone. I am also currently sitting on the Woolston Development Project Board, and I am on the Eastern Sports and Rec Board, and there are a multitude of other boards I have been on and really enjoyed my time in making, as I say, that positive change. I think we are at a crossroads really with ECAN. We're kind of in a space where the government are looking at how we look at regional council, and I think it's going to be really important for us to have people around the table that already know how local government works, and if elected to ECAN, I want to be able to strengthen those relationships around the table, both with Christchurch City Council and ECAN, but also the other councils in the wider Canterbury region. I already have relationships with a lot of those, good working relationships, and yeah, I believe we need to be making decisions for our future generations, kind of like the idea of a little pause, Sam, because I think that we do actually be needing to look at things in a wider, more holistic approach moving forward, and sometimes it is taking that step back and doing more research, looking at the science, to actually get things right for our communities. So that's me. I'll be around later, and I've got some flyers at the back too, but thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Now I'd like to invite Nettles Lamont, if she'd like to come up.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou, Nettles Lamontaho. I am new to local government, but I'm very long in the tooth, and I've been around in the private sector for many years, 30 plus probably. I'm a local, grew up here, went to Canterbury University and then got a scholarship to Lincoln University. Came out with a degree in accounting and finance, and I'm an entrepreneur. I've set up 3 companies that are still going. One is Conquest Training. It's a training company throughout New Zealand. I head up the Dublin Street Trust, and we invest about $1 million into the Canterbury community every year, and it's about being the fishing rod rather than the fish. I'm chair of Quality New Zealand. We export meat and other items to India, and I was lucky enough to be invited on the Prime Minister's trade mission to India, and at the moment we're in the background. There's a lot of talks going, hopefully towards a free trade deal, hopefully that I'm hoping will be announced before Christmas. I'm involved in a number of things. I'm on the board of Canterbury Cricket. I'm very involved in a lot of businesses. I'm chair of Chumley Children's Centre. I am a business person, but I'm probably the most socialist type business person, because money I make, I throw back into the community, because I think the community is stronger with us all together. I made the difficult decision to stand for ECAN because we are the kaitiakitanga. We are the guardians of our environment for the future, and we need to look after our water. It's got to be safe to drink, it's got to be safe to swim in, and we need to be safe from it for extreme weather events. I'm very concerned about how things are going with public transport. We need to do better there, and also we need to have fiscal responsibility, and I'm absolutely all about the numbers. I used to be on the board of ARA, chairing the Audit and Risk Committee. I'm on the Audit and Risk Committee for Canterbury Cricket, and I want to make it a strong, resilient community at Environment Canterbury for all of us. Thank you.
Kia ora. In terms of how to proceed the rest of the evening, we have our finally we welcome our 2 main mayoral candidates for 2025. Each will have up to 8 minutes to speak, and a bell will sound if they go over the time. I would like to invite Sarah Templeton to talk. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's nice to be back again. I was here around the same time last year with U3A, talking about climate change, which was fantastic. So I am Sarah, and I am standing to be the next mayor of Ōtautahi, Christchurch and Banks Peninsula, as we create the vibrant, livable, affordable and resilient city that we all aspired to after the earthquakes. It has been 15 years now since the first earthquake on September the 4th, 2010. And we have almost finished the rebuild. It is time now to look beyond fixing what was broken and start planning for the next 15 and the next 30 years. A little bit of background, I started out after the earthquakes community volunteering. I was the local Residents Association chair in Heathcote Valley, where we saw a huge amount of earthquake damage. We hosted the seismometer that recorded that 2.2 G a few hundred metres from my house and at my daughter's school at the time. So I chaired the Residents Association. I'm a mum of 3, and in 2013 I was elected to what was then the Hagley Ferrymead Community Board with Alex Davids, and I chaired that board for the first 3 years. In 2016, I was elected to Christchurch City Council in the newly formed Heathcote ward, and I have served my community ever since. And I've worked tirelessly for both my ward and for the city as a whole in my 9 years in council. I've chaired multiple hearings panels, including the one for the Matiki Hornby Centre, where we didn't rubber stamp the staff recommendation for the site, where I chaired the hearings panel that actually recommended that a better site was Kyle Park rather than Denton Park. We listened to the community concerns, especially around the transport, and recommended to council that they change the site of that one. So the city is doing really well 15 years on. We have almost finished the rebuild, and it is really starting to hum and vibe. And you can see that from the number of people that are moving here, but actually also from all of the international and national press coverage that we're getting. But we're doing that off the back of a whole pile of decisions that were made in the past. So we are completing things that were decided by the national government of the day. So look at the various things like the location of the stadium, Parakiori, all of those kind of things. The River Promenade has been a game changer for the city, but also decisions of council. So all of that work is now coming to fruition, and we need to look at what's next, because we know that we will lose momentum if we don't. Momentum isn't taken for granted. If we pause now and take a breath, we will drop. We have seen what has happened in Wellington in recent years. So with a whole pile of major cuts, what's happened is that the economy is starting to tank, and not only is their infrastructure broken through kicking the can down the road too many times on their water infrastructure, but businesses are failing. Wellington is not feeling good right now, and we don't want to head that way. So we've been through a lot. We've been through earthquakes, floods, fires, the pandemic, the mosque shooting. And we know that through all of those, what has got us through is our communities. Each time we come together, there's a narrative sometimes that human beings are only selfish creatures, only interested in their own interests, and we're all out for ourselves. And we have proven time and time again that that's not the case. We all work for the common good. That's why you're all here, because we all want what's best for the city as a whole as we look to the future. So, we've got some challenges that are still coming. We know that we have the challenge of climate change. There's various things that are happening in that around the city, physical risks to do with sea level rise and fires. This particular part of the city is pretty well protected from those. You're not coastal and you're not up on our hills. But many areas of the city are going to be severely impacted by that over a period of time, and we need to look at the city as a whole. We need to cope with growth. So council plans in a 10 and a 30-year time frame. In the next 10 years, we're looking at having an extra 32,000 people living here. In the next 30 years, it's an extra 80,000 people living just within Christchurch District. That might seem fanciful, but I know that 1995 doesn't seem like very long ago. That's 30 years. You know, Preston's didn't exist. Wigram was an aerodrome. Horswell was a tiny little village. We have grown by 80,000 in that time. And we wish that the council of the day, back in 1995, had done something like put in decent public infrastructure, public transport infrastructure out to Horswell. Because what has happened as our city has sprawled is that we have had more and more cars on our roads driving through areas like this to get into the central city. If we don't do something different, we're due to have an extra 15 to 20,000 cars on our roads in rush hour in just 10 years' time. We have 65% more cars on our roads now than we did in 2001. While sometimes the day-to-day physical things that we see changing, like speed humps or cycleways, might seem like an easy answer for the causes of congestion, the reality is that congestion is caused by more traffic. Congestion is caused by having more cars on our road, and more of them are coming. So what we need to do is make sure that we have a transport system that gives everyone choice. Lots of people would choose to catch the bus if there was one that was convenient and cheap and easy and frequent. We know that lots of people would choose to bike if there was a safe way to do it. Over half of the cycleways that we've built have actually been off-road. They've been shared paths through our parks, up our railway lines, all of those kind of things. But you don't see them because when you're driving, that cycleway is somewhere else. Another 11% of our cycleways are just neighbourhood greenways. No separate infrastructure, it's just a slightly slowed street with bikes going. So, like in between Dean's Bush and the university. That's cycleway, but there's no separate infrastructure. It's just what we call neighbourhood greenway. So over 60% of what we built isn't separated cycleways, and we're only planning 100 kilometres total, including all of those, out of 2,500 kilometres worth of roads. What's causing the congestion is cars. The solution for that is choice. The other things that I've focused on in my time have been water infrastructure. So during the long-term plan, there was a move to push out spending on our water infrastructure, to take a pause, to push funding out into future years for our pipe renewals. Staff have been clear that we can deliver more pipe renewals, but back in 2018, our pipes were leaking at 18%. Our pipes are now leaking at 28%. That's not good enough. The fact that our pipes are leaking so much is why we have chlorine in our water. The water that comes up out of the ground is really, really good, which is why we can put drinking stations right next to it. Is that 1 minute left? Okay. But the pipes are so broken that we need chlorine in our water to make sure it gets to your tap safely. So I have managed to make sure that our targets as a council have changed. Our target was to get the leaks under 25%. That is now under 15%. That's our target for 2024. And I managed to get budget in to make sure that we ramped up our renewals, because it's not just about fixing the leaks that we see in our roads, it's about renewing the pipes before they break. So I have been working in and with our communities for the last 15 years, and I know that everyone cares really deeply about our city. They care about our past, they care about our city now, but actually people really deeply care about the future of our city. It is time for a change of leadership. It is time for a change to a leader that actually champions our city to central government, no matter who's in government, and makes a case for Christchurch to get its fair share of funding, for Christchurch to be the capital of the South Island, and for us to take our place in leading the country, because we have the most amazing opportunity to do that for central government. And I know there's going to be lots of questions, so I'll leave it there. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Now I'd like to, there we go, excellent. Now I'd like to welcome Phil up to address us.
Thank you very much. Before I start off, I'd just like to once again thank Professor Bacci and the Avonhead Community Group for putting this on. It's very, very much appreciated. Kia ora. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It is great to be here. I'm standing again because I love this job. I love Christchurch. I love the peninsula, and I love seeing our city moving forward. In the 6 years I've been on council, 3 as mayor, there's been a real buzz around town. People are positive. Businesses are backing us. You can feel the optimism. My vision is simple. I want Christchurch and Banks Peninsula to be the best place in New Zealand to live, work, invest and play. Now we're seeing that already. People are moving down in droves from Auckland and Wellington, mainly because it's easier to get around. The houses are slightly cheaper. We've got students coming here at the rate, at the moment, 26,000 a year, is going to go up to 30,000 a year by the end of the decade. One of the problems we're going to have is where to house them. The uni is building more beds at the moment. And invest. People are investing here, as I think it might have been David said. We've got Noah's, there's $150 million they're pouring into the into the business, into town. 38 million, I went and opened 3 Turners car auctions yards the other day. 38 million they're putting in. I said, that's a hell of a lot of money to spend here in 3 places. They said, we're selling more cars here in Christchurch than any other city in the country. So they're very happy. Bioaura, which is a cancer research centre, they're throwing $17 million into the city. So these people are coming and investing. So it's really good. Canterbury's economy is growing faster than the rest of the country. And when Christchurch does well, the whole region benefits, and vice versa to that matter. I'll get the basics right and build on what we've started. This means keeping rates affordable, protecting our environment, future-proofing our water. Now, I'll just go off onto water a little bit. What happened in Havelock North would never have happened in Christchurch. All our wells were below ground, but they all had caps on them. But what we did, we spent a number of hundreds of millions of dollars and raised them all up above the ground. You probably see those blue things down, especially down in Burnside Park. That's the well with the backflow preventers on it. Our wells are good. We've deepened them. We've got them so deep now that we don't run the risk of getting protozoa infections, not the word, contamination like Queenstown did. So we've got that sorted. The pumps are all right, but we have got some leaks. Now, what we are actually measuring the water leakage in a different manner. We're not using a percentage so much anymore, but I can tell you we have got 700 million litres less loss this year than we had this time last year. So we're on the curve. We still have got leakage. There's no doubt about that. Some of the pipes are old. A lot of them got fixed in the earthquake. We've already made real progress. Rates are under pressure everywhere, but here we're doing the work smarter, not just cutting services. We've moved the Bromley Organics processing plant, as you heard. We've delivered the Takuru wetland, which worked extremely well and held back 1 million cubic litres of water and stopped the flooding in the Heathcote River when we had that last rain event. We put in a coastal hazards plan in place. We're fixing leaks and upgrading pipes and giving people safe chlorine-free drinking water in 2 areas in town, and there are more that have been budgeted for. And simple things matter too, like the Rapid Response Footpath Crew, which has fixed nearly 4,000 small jobs across the city. And as Sam said, I'm particularly very proud of what we did at the wastewater treatment plant, taking a slightly less insurance payout, but making a one hell of a lot better result in a 50% reduction at the plant on the greenhouse gases. Big projects are on track. Te Kaha opens next April, on time and on budget. Parakuri is nearly ready. It better be, because we've got the Special Olympics in December. And it'll be full. I know the pools are actually full at the moment. There's 200 staff working down there. There's high performance sport, indoor netball, basketball, badminton, you name it. It is a fantastic. Wait till you get in there. Supercars are coming in Ruapuna for 2026 for 3 years. Ed Sheeran's coming in February next year. And we've got New Zealand Fashion Week has just been signed up for 3 years. It's going to run during Cup Week. These will fill hotels and bring energy to our city and put Canterbury on the map. When I ran last time, I promised to rebuild trust in council. Now satisfaction is the highest in years, and we've been recognised as this is heading in the right direction. A stable council gives business confidence, helps families put roots down, and drives growth for the whole region. So to wrap up, Christchurch and Bank Peninsula are in good shape. We're moving in the right direction, and my plan is to keep the momentum going, keep rates affordable, and keep getting the basics right while we're building a city that's exciting, sustainable, and resilient. I'll work hard for you and our kids and our grandkids, so Christchurch stays the best place to live, work, and play. When Christchurch thrives, Canterbury thrives too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. What I'd like you to do, just put our hands together again for all our candidates here, the Merrill and all the candidates. Thank you. Now, in terms of what we're proceeding for the rest of the night, it's a chance for us as the community to ask some questions, okay? And we're going to ask the questions to the candidates. So here's how it will work. If you have a question, please raise your hand. A microphone will be brought to you, and please don't take the microphone. It will be held for you. Okay. You may then ask your question. We ask the questions and all the questions we ask will be kept respectful. It would be probably a good idea if you've got a specific question and you want someone to ask, please ask that person, or both candidates in that case. So if you can make that very clear, and then we'll just proceed there, see how many questions we have, and if we're out of time, we're going to be out of time, but we'll go as quickly as we can. So if you've got a question for any of our candidates, just raise your hand now. There we go. We've got some questions already shopping. Yep. I'll just wave the microphone up front for you guys as well, the candidates. I think most of our questions will be for the mayoral candidates.
Hi, kia ora. My name's Sam. I live in Waimarie, first-time voter. I, like a lot of us, came here because of this flyer in the mail, but unfortunately it omits both Sarah and Pavithra from the list. And this was concerning to me because this means that the 90% of people in our ward that aren't here think that they're not wanting to show up to represent their community. It's hard to read, but if you see at the bottom it says authorised by Sam McDonald. So my question to you is, do you think that it was appropriate to omit those people? Because when I went to email them, they said they would be in attendance and had confirmed that. And then to Phil and to Nicola, who were the other people that were listed on here, why do you think Sam decided to list you and not the other candidates? And given you're running as independents, sort of what associations do you have with independent citizens, which is Sam's grouping? So first Sam, then Phil and Nicola. Thanks.
Well, I thought I wouldn't even get a question given I'm not being voted for this time, but why break a tradition? No, the reality is I paid for that flyer because the Avonhead Community Group aren't in a position to put a flyer out. I've been very upfront about the candidates I'm supporting. I was like that last time. You'll recall when we were here. We had David Mates and Phil Major, and I openly said I backed Phil Major. This time, again, I'm saying I back Phil Major. Sarah and I work together. We have different views of the world, but I'm sorry, in a democracy, I will share my views. I paid for that myself, and if other people want to put flyers out to advertise a meeting, they can. The community group were not in a position to do it, so I chose to, and I asked people that I support in this community.
But why would you make it seem like the candidates aren't going to be independent, though? Like you can
I didn't. If you read it, it says including these candidates. So.
But like most people that would read that.
Look, I'm not. I mean, look. All I can say is they are the candidates I'm backing in this community. I've been very upfront. People can vote me out when they choose. Well, they don't get a chance this time, but last time they could have. The reality is, I'm backing Phil Major for mayor. I'm backing a couple of community board members, and I make no apology for that. I've always been upfront with this community, and so far people have supported that approach. I don't want to not be transparent. It would be disingenuous of me to say that I'm here supporting Sarah, because I don't.
Do I stand up? Okay. I have a question for all of you, actually. I'm intrigued by all the concerns that are listed up there, and I've heard a lot of positive things about the new stadium, which is going to be opening next year. I'd like to be a bit of an advocate for something that hasn't been mentioned tonight, and that is the arts. In Christchurch, we have suffered a lot through the loss of church halls, churches, the Repertory Theatre, and so on. And I have a vested interest in this because I'm on the board of Showbiz Christchurch, but I'm also speaking for all the community theatre groups. There's music, dance groups, and so on. Christchurch has a good reputation for this, but I haven't heard very much coming from the council about what they might want to do to invest in a good theatre for the future. I know we have court theatre, but we miss that community theatre that the Repertory was. Any thoughts on that?
Thank you very much. As you know, well, when the earthquake happened, Jerry Brownlee said, right, we're going to have 100 days and we're going to put hospitality there, we're going to put arts there, we're going to put health there, whatever. And I thought, this isn't going to work. Well, I tell you, it actually is. I'll be the first to eat humble pie and say that I was wrong. The amount of time and effort that we've put in, Sarah and I just last week at the piano, and we're very lucky to have that. Tomorrow, Chrissy and I are going to the Isaac Theatre Royal for Blood Brothers. Yes, very good. But The other thing that is percolating at the moment, and Councillor was talking about it, hasn't happened yet, but there seems to be a bit more movement on, is the School of Music going into the last missing gap in that area. So I think Council's put a lot of effort, certainly a lot of effort and money into the Court Theatre, and a lot of other people too. I shouldn't say it's just us, but I think we're pretty well with, as far as the arts go. And also we're very lucky. We've got lots of the Wakefield family that have built Ravenscar House, and for all of those sort of arts as well, just different kind of art. But we're lucky to have all those things. But we need to. One of the things we've got to do is get our arts centre finished, and get our museum finished, and get our provincial chamber finished, and our cathedral finished. There's a lot coming.
Kia ora, you're quite right. So while our core infrastructure, our water, our roads, all of those kind of things is the foundations of a city, it's the people and the creativity that make it a place worth living in. And while we've had a lot of focus on the bigger stuff like Court Theatre, that community art space is crucial. I was really pleased to have Save Ralston House from being sold in the last long-term plan, because that was going to be up for sale through that long-term planning process. It's now a community arts space, so lots of people, lots of different artists have rooms and things there over a period of time. I spent a lot of time at Repertory, first backstage doing sound and those kind of things, and then for my sins in Postman Pat with Canterbury Children's Theatre, so I was Dorothy Brown and had a lot of fun. Community arts are crucial, and they're where a lot of the artists who then go on to bigger things nationally and internationally start out. We need to support them, and it might be in partnership. Theatres like Elmwood, where they sold the theatre and went in partnership with the school to build a space. Yeah, it's not ideal. Same in Sumner, it's part of the community centre there. But we do need to keep supporting the arts. The key risk for the arts at the moment is the 2 legislation changes that we're looking at from central government. One at the moment that takes the 4 well-beings out of local government and specifies what things we're allowed to spend money on. The arts are not there. That's to do with social wellbeing and those kind of things. And the other thing is the proposed rates cap. So a rates cap will basically cancel the community's ability to influence the decision-making and budgeting around the council table. And it means that when the government has said we're not allowed to do the 4 well-beings, and they put a limit on what you can spend, that one of the first things that will go is the arts. So I'm not keen on that, and we need to find really smart ways of keeping that going.
Good evening to the members. EJ Coffin from Wigram Electorate. I'm standing not only as a youth member but also as a youth MP. My question is, what can the members do to support the youth unemployment rate that's currently quite high in Christchurch, and it's mostly also very targeted towards our minority cultures?
So there's a range of things. Christchurch City Council is a partner in the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. We haven't had an update on, I don't know how that's going from your perspective, so I guess you'll let us know. But that's one small thing. One thing that we've found is that we need to make sure that our economy stays strong and doesn't lose momentum. So we know after COVID, the business community came to us and said, please keep building infrastructure. That's where the jobs are, and that's the flow and impact for our families, and putting food on the table, all of those kind of things. And they said, council, please come back into the city, because lots of people working from home. It's where hospitality and those kind of things is. Council only plays a really small role. We do have some internships and those kind of things as well. We employ a lot of people, but keeping the economy going and the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs are kind of the key things in that area, and making sure that equity is a focus throughout that.
Yep, Sarah's right. We do have internships. We also have bought all of our, council has bought all of its Parks and Rec stuff in-house, and we've gone out and got 70 staff for doing that. And I know full well that we were going to schools and saying to people who are leaving school, if you want to come and do this, because the old man, Dad, said to me, not everyone is going to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist that leaves school. You always need someone with a stop-go sign or a shovel and stuff like that. So just because some people aren't what you'd call, and I certainly wasn't, the ducks of the school, you can get jobs working for us. We've one of the ones that I do know that we've put out there is turf culture, because we need for the stadium. There's a lot of stuff happening there, and I'd suggest getting into the, if you want to, get into the Parks and Recs thing, because it's going to grow like topsy. The other thing that's happening, of course, at the other end of the scale, we've got Christchurch Engine Centre, which is now putting $300 million Air New Zealand and Pratt & Whitney for a new engine centre, and you add the old one and the new one together, 530 high-paying jobs there. So there's the opportunity for, with all of these companies coming to town, the more people that are here, the more people they'll hire at different levels. So stick with it.
Right, Ken Mitchell's my name, and I live in the street, Avonhead Road here. Avonhead Road. And the traffic lately has just got faster and faster going through there. And nobody seems to bring them back down or anything, and it's a nightmare to cross the road. And you know, and I'm mid-80s now. You've got to do sprints, and so Phil, I think they're going to try and, with these humps or something, to try and slow it down. So I'm all for it, because you know it's too much.
So your question is?
So my question is, are we going to have more humps or less humps?
Ooh. It's a tickly one.
Right. Thank you. I would like to see less humps all over the place, but there are places where they are needed. Now, we just had one the other day that I certainly voted on, I think I did, where we go off Morehouse Ave onto Madras Street. It's a slip lane, and that's right, it's a slip lane. We decided to put a hump there because it slows the traffic down rather than go whoop around the corner and taking someone out. So in the right places, they're right. We did one the other day at Strickland Street, what's the other one? Yeah. Colombo Street corner, we put 2 humps there to make the main drag the main way and stop people doing rat running the other way. There are places for them. I don't know so much about out here because it is a wide road. The roundabouts have now got, at that end I know, have got humps on them to slow people down, but we can certainly look at that. But I would not be a fan of putting speed humps on this road. I'd probably do some narrowings on the sides to make it look a bit narrower and plant maybe a couple of trees on each side. We're doing that in Glendowie Road. But I'd rather see less in some places. Why on earth we're putting 5 speed humps on Ferry Road between Edmonds, Shorter Rise and Morehouse Ave is beyond me. I can't see the reason for 5. Maybe a couple, but not that many. It seems a bit silly to me.
I think the key thing is that pedestrians should rule our streets, right? So everyone is a pedestrian at some point, whether you park your car and then you walk to somewhere else. And they should be the top of the priority list. Most people end up losing their driver's licence at some point. That's usually through ability, through age, those kind of things. At which point you are walking to a bus stop and you need to be able to cross the road. Kids need to be able to get to school safely. I'm in favour of communities making these decisions, not council. So there's currently a proposal to take away the community board delegation. So your local community board, Sam, Aaron and the others, wouldn't be able to make the decisions for your local community anymore. You would have councillors from Linwood, from Cashmere, from Heathcote, making decisions about whether speed bumps went in your communities or not. So that's, I think, not a good idea. I think that the communities should be making those decisions through their community boards and with their community boards, instead of that coming up to council and clogging up our agendas all the time. But that's something for the local community to do.
Hello, I was just wondering, with both mayoral candidates, what are their views on recent private sector initiatives into public transport, namely Bentley Coach Line's Rolleston to the city, and also Mainland Rail Events Transport, and also they've been quoted as saying as public transport. Personally, I can't think of any other such initiatives by private enterprise, and I understand the bus with Bentley Coach Lines is only 50 cents more than with Metro. I just wonder, they're amazing initiatives by councils taking the risk, but not councils, sorry, by private enterprise, but will councils be supporting such initiatives, particularly the rail one? Because they're spending quite a bit of money of their own funds. I just wonder, that might be more an Environment Canterbury issue, but is the Christchurch City Council supportive of such initiatives, and so that they could advance to get some sort of better quality public transport in the city?
Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, it's great when private businesses step up to provide, fill the gaps in a service, and it's clear that, with Bentleys especially, there's so much demand for public transport from out that way, and ECAN haven't been fast enough to move on it. So that's really good. I'm really interested to see how they make that stack up financially. So we'll see how that goes over time. With the events train, I think it's fantastic. Christchurch City Council's role, and that what we're being asked to do is to provide infrastructure for it, so some sort of platform so that people can get on and off the train when they arrive here. I'm really interested to see how it goes. It'll be great for events. But yeah, I think that ratepayers will be asked to fund a platform there, although we won't be using the train service ourselves. So I would like to see contributions from our neighbouring districts towards that. So yeah.
Yeah, that the mainland rail thing, the event train thing, and as you may know, when you've gone down to Dunedin for a concert or a game or something like that, the traffic is clogged up forever. What their idea is absolutely fantastic. They've managed to get the rolling stock from the North Island. They brought it down across the strait on the Aratiri before it stopped, because there's no more train thing at the moment. They've taken them down to Dunedin where the carriages are getting done up, which is great. They can bring people from there up to the stadium, and it's right by the the Colombo Street overbridge. There's a vacant bit of land there as you're heading towards the hills on the left. That's where the stadium's, it's actually owned by a church, the land. That's where this platform's going to be to take people off. But the other initiative that those people goes is bringing it from Rangiora and Rolleston in as a trial to see if it works. Now, I'm a great fan. If those guys want to put the effort in, and ECAN are doing an appraisal on it, if you go by train or by bus or by bike or by car or by walking or whatever, if we 10%, 5% of the people that are in cars, actually, it might suit them to go on the train, and they go, I want to do this because I like it. And it just takes more pressure off the road on all sorts of things. So as many different types of getting into the city, the better, because it'll take pressure off what's already there. So I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. Phil, what triggers, this is chlorine, what triggers a date for you to remove the chlorine out of the water?
What we had as I say, we got our wells down deep, we got all our pumping good, it's good. We have got the least amount of chlorine in our water that the government will let us get away with. It's sort of what they most call residue chlorine amount. Once we get the new system that is measuring leakage or loss, A, B, C, D, D being up there being the worst, we're in the very low Ds, and I'd like to get down into the Cs. Once we start hitting the low Bs, right, get down there, it gets to the stage where it's not financially viable to go chasing the last little leak, you know what I mean? So once we get down there, if there's ever a chance that Christchurch will be the only one in the country, or if anyone's going to get chlorine out, it will be us. When Te Mata Arawai, the water regulator, was first born, they were quite difficult to deal with. Things have changed markedly. They're bending over backwards to help us get things done and working with us. So the thing that will trigger it to get rid of chlorine will be getting leaks down, because everything else is good. It's just the leaks. But don't forget, every year that goes by, a pipe that's been in the ground 50 years has now been in the ground 51 years, and they will wear out. But we're changing them as fast as we can.
So at the moment you have fresh water that you can get out around Waltham somewhere, and it's running full time. Is that considered a leak, or is that just a natural well?
I'm not sure. Is it just running out of the ground or out of the road?
No, it's just off the road, but all of us go there and get non-chlorinated water.
All right, yeah. It's a well, probably.
So therefore, is that termed a leak?
No. A leak is only after we've pumped it into our system and it's vanishing. That's the leak.
Yeah, thanks. So we've got two main programs of work on our water pipes. One is the fixing the leak stuff. And that stuff is increasing all the time. So the money that we're spending on that, the reactive maintenance, when we find a leak and we have to fix it, that's expensive to do, and that's increasing, because the thing that we haven't been doing enough of is renewing the old pipes. So like the old 1970s asbestos pipes, those kind of things. One example in Opawa, Grange Street, their pipes, the old asbestos pipes were supposed to be done the year of the earthquake. And what happened is that to pay for the repairs that needed doing after the earthquake, City Council used all of its normal business as usual renewals money to go into the SCIRT program to do the fixes, which means we've got this massive backlog in the day-to-day renewals. So 15 years on, Grange Street broke 3 or 4 times within a period of a couple of weeks, plus other times over a period of a year. And every time, someone would come in and just fix the leak, and then that fix would put a bit of pressure on somewhere else on the broken pipe, on the fragile asbestos pipe, and then that would break. And so we were paying for fix after fix after fix when the pipe should have been renewed, but we didn't have enough budget on to do our renewals. And that's happening across the entire city. So in the long-term plan, there was a program, and you could see it in the graph that was up here on one of these screens, sort of a year and a half ago, that pushed the funding out. So the proposal in the long-term plan was to spend less money in the first 3 years, like right now, but more in the future for the next council, even though costs had gone up by nearly 30% for water infrastructure during COVID. So that was less money on renewals.
Trigger at the moment, and the water's going through asbestos pipe, and the more you fix, the more pressure in the system, which creates more leaks.
Yep. Yeah. So the trigger will be when Taumata Arawai tell us that we've got our leaks down to enough. But to get leaks down, you don't just fix the leaks, you have to renew the pipes. Exactly. Yeah. So it bothers me when people start talking about taking a pause on doing our pipe work, getting the roads fixed first, because actually then we have to dig up the roads and do the pipes afterwards. So we need to do that. I'm talking, sorry Sam?
I mean cycleways.
Yeah, well, we're not doing many of those, so yeah.
So have you considered using chlorine dioxide as opposed to chlorine? Because chlorine doesn't kill the biofilm. And if you don't kill the biofilm, you've got another problem.
Is it about government direction? It's a government direction.
question to Sarah. Sarah, when you become our next mayor, can you give me some assurance that you'll eliminate Wilson car parking in Christchurch City? I find their business model immoral, if not illegal, and very unhappy experience on our behalf. And I do hope that there's some contractual arrangement that's possible to eliminate them from Christchurch car parking.
That's a difficult question to answer.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Unfortunately, they're mostly on private property. So private businesses or private landowners are using Wilson's at the moment to generate income on property that hasn't been developed. I think the key thing to have less Wilson's is to have more buildings built on those sites and stop them being the gravel pits that they are at the moment. Wilson's keep being told not to do any more in car parking buildings and things across the country in areas now because they have too much, and the Government and the Commerce Commission are concerned that they'll become too much of a monopoly and dominate the market because they do boost prices and costs for car parking. We're going to be under pressure as a council with rates capping to also increase our parking charges because while you can cut projects or those kind of things that people talk about, cut services, the other way to keep rates low under a rates cap scenario is to increase revenue. And that would come through things like car parking charges, libraries, pools, all of those kind of things to offset. So really need to be careful on that kind of stuff at the moment.
I'm not going to rubbish a company. One thing that has happened a little bit with Wilson's parking, some of their parking lots have been taken over by another company, but I understand things aren't going too well between those two companies. But that's their business, so I would rather not get into that. I'll get myself in enough trouble, isn't it?
My question is around voter apathy. Is this perceived as a problem by the candidates? And if it is, what would your proposed solution be?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Voter apathy?
One of the things I understand that our when we do general elections, we go and vote at the voting box, and we've got one of the highest turnouts around. Local government is one of the lowest turnouts around, and some people say to me, oh, we should maybe do it online. Way above my pay grade is how people could manipulate online stuff, so that, as far as I know, I don't think you could go there. I can see maybe, because you'll get your things in the mail, the postal stuff in the mail, and it sits around the kitchen bench for a couple of days or a week, and then you've got other things happening, it gets buried, and then all of a sudden, oh, I haven't done that, oh, bugger, it's too late. And so the main thing is we all get out there, all of us get out there, and he marks it. We've got to get out, just encourage people to vote. It doesn't, well, it does matter who you vote for, of course, I'm saying it, but as long as people vote, that's the most important thing. And I've challenged, I've just put it out there, challenged Christchurch. We were actually one of the higher at just on 40% last time, but I've challenged Christchurch to beat the rest of the country in turnout, because then everyone, the more the people that vote, the better cross-section of voting of people you get. So it is hard. Young people, for example, when I was brought up, it was always, right, we're going down to vote, we're doing this, doing it. It was sort of drummed into you. Some young people these days go, oh, I can't be bothered, or oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we've got to put it into them that it is important. It is so important.
I guess there's a couple of things. The first is that it's a national problem and it needs to be addressed at a national level as well. So Local Government New Zealand, which is the body that represents councils across the country, apart from a couple, including us currently, has done a huge amount of work, research, all of those kind of things, and put proposals to central government. One of those is to have like the Local Government Commission or the Electoral Commission running the elections, rather than individual councils who then delegate it to a business. So we pay a business to run our elections for us. They're not really invested in turnout. They just have to tick boxes and get stuff done. We have one electoral officer that is our electoral officer that is also the electoral officer for dozens and dozens of other councils. And that doesn't do us any good. So there's that kind of stuff at the national level. Locally, you've got to give people something to vote for. And people don't want to see the same old all the time. I've been out connecting with a really, really wide range of people. I've had over 220 people sign up to volunteer online, over 350 donations, individuals now. There are 70 people out delivering leaflets for me at the moment. That's a whole pile of individuals who are then telling their friends and family and all of that kind of stuff and giving some, people something to vote for.
Excellent.
I'm really concerned about the effects of poverty on individuals, families and the community. Where do you stand on continuing to pay the living wage to council employees, and I think it's called council-controlled organisation employees, like the port or the airport?
Absolutely. So
While I've got the microphone, well done for the cathedral for making some progress.
That's not on us, but yeah, thank you. So absolutely, we need to continue to pay council staff a living wage. All of our council-owned companies are paying the living wage. I would like to see our council-owned companies, our community-owned companies, get accredited for the living wage. So currently they pay their direct employees a living wage, but they also have, cleaners and all of those kind of things. And becoming an accredited living wage employer means that those other people who the new contract services out to would also be paid living wage. That's really, really important. Yeah.
Yes, you did right. We just need to lead by example, and we are. We're doing it with all our stuff, and I'm right with you with the cathedral, even though it wasn't our idea. They're now being very extremely realistic, and if we can get it across the line, it's good for everyone.
Excellent. Sorry, unfortunately, that has led us, we're already well over our time. So that's some of the things it's great to meet our candidates, and I'd like to go through a couple of things. Of course, in promoting getting me out to vote, maybe a rebate. If I hand my election form in, I get a rebate on my rates would be encouraging. Excellent. I just want to acknowledge a few people in terms of just the evening. It's really great to see so many people here. First, of course, I would say thank you to St Christopher's Church, Reverend Les. Excellent, thank you for hosting us again. And the candidates, including Sarah and Phil, it's brilliant that you guys came out and made yourselves available. The community members, and also all the associates of the ACG, CIL, Kids First School, Commodore Hotel Group, Piccadilly Bookshop, and Andrews Florist. I'd like to say thank you all. Again, thank you for all of you to come out tonight and all the candidates. I wish you all the best, and let's get out and vote, as you've heard, and encourage all your friends. Thank you very much.